All right, we've finished doing my taxes. I mean, playing Magic Online for the day. So let's go ahead and dive on into some black-white vampires here in Historic on Magic Arena. I think this deck's super reasonable. It's just playing like a bunch of like pretty good cards. Disruption and Thoughtseize and Inquisition. Knight of Ebon Legion and Adanto Vanguard, both just really quality threats against the control decks in the formats. Sorin, Imperious, Bloodlord, making this difficult to deal with threat larger is great. It can also put things like Champion of Dusk in play to let us draw cards ahead of curve. J-Check, thanks for the sub-gifts. Good afternoon to you. We've got Legion's Landing and Skymarcher Aspirant to help us go wide. And then we've got the Legion's Lieutenant here to kind of tie the room together and power up all our vampires up. The question is, what is this deck doing that's better than Mono Black? Adanto Vanguard's very good, and Skyclave Apparition is very good. So we've got more Skyclave Apparition in the sideboard, gaining access to powerful hate cards like Reidane, and Rest in Peace, while flexible like Vanishing Verse is very reasonable. Legion's Landing is good utility as well. Also, the Mono Black decks have mostly moved away from being base vampires. So, like, they're more, like, the Sorin engine is powerful in different ways than the things like Spawn of Mayhem are. Allows you to kind of pivot and go bigger against other aggressive decks nicely. Is Black-White Sorin playable in this shell? No, it's definitely not better than Silversmote Ghoul. Silversmote Ghoul is very good with 3-mana Sorin. Robo Reidane. Not to be deterred from their top sub-gift spot. That's very generous of you. Welcome to our newest members of Homelandia. We go first. YOLO. To the person I just timed out for saying 3-mana Sorin just isn't that good, honestly. In my honest opinion, what isn't good is your opinion that was offered with no concluding evidence. So lazy comments like those aren't welcome in my chat. You're always free to discuss and even encouraged to discuss why things could be better or worse than alternative options, but just saying cards bad is lazy and unwelcome here. You could take a 10-minute break to think about being constructive next time. Craig Mack. Were they playing elves yesterday when we played them? We definitely played against this username. Probably not elves. Nice. Nailed it. It's a Kiki Court deck on my website. It's not. Only historic decks are up there. You can find Kiki Court decks in the deck list that we ended on today. Will be in the video description on my YouTube channel this evening. Oh, I wonder if they're playing the new Teamer Indomitable Creativity deck. Looks like it. Can we flip a landing? Pervidia, thanks for the sub-gift. I can't remember. I had something on the tip of my tongue, but now I just can't recall, chat. There's a Teamer version cheat out, Coma. You could have grown Knight a couple of turns ago with Adanto. So I don't think, against a completely unknown opponent, I don't think it was worth dealing 7 to myself on the first turn. We didn't quite know that they were this deck versus something aggressive at that point. I think if we knew what they were playing, it might be right to hammer my life total in that instance, but we didn't know. Now they do get the opportunity to kill Knight of the Ebon Legion with Magma Opus, which is unfortunate. What if we just Sorin plus on Adanto?
not bring me pleasure, nor pain. Our fiends thirst for life.
This interaction is very powerful. Like, Sorin on his own is obviously not an amazing card. But Sorin with Adanto, Sorin with this, Sorin being Reach, it's a very flexible card that synergizes well with our deck. You're saying you're biased about Kiki RHB as your preferred modern archetype? Yes, for people that aren't familiar with my history, when I was traveling to play in a ton of competitive Magic was when Modern was at its peak, and Kiki Cord was the deck that I played the most. I have half a dozen top 8 finishes at Star City Opens with that archetype, and those are tournaments. I think the largest tournament I top 8'd with that archetype had a little under 1,200 people in attendance. Made the finals of that tournament. There's more plains than swamps because we're playing Igdom's Awakening as a utility land. You're right that Castle doesn't have a lot of untapped enablers in this list. That's largely because we're trying to do this. It draws people to their preferred decks. I like playing fair Magic, but you basically need to have a combo in Modern to be competitive. Is like the TLDR. Also, like, the number of micro decisions you get to make per game is really high in a deck like Kiki Cord.
Woodhouse Markov grows stronger.
Oh, see, you're mistaken. This isn't Aether Vial, it's Vampire Show and Tell. Opponent's feeling lucky, chat. I'll take some cards, please. Thanks. One of your finest whammies, please. Couldn't we double Sorin them? Oh, I forgot we had the other Sorin in hand. That's a good call. That's fine. There's not really a wrong way to eat this Reese's, chat. Oh, you know what? There should be, we should have some copies of Despark in my 75. That's probably better than these fractures at this point, based on how the format's turned. Yeah, I think this should probably be Despark. I think it's just Skyclave for Reidane here. Click submit. What's up with the graphic on the sideboard? So, it's important to understand that it's a sideboard and not a top board. So they added the area on the right side of the screen there during sideboarding, so it lets you be fully immersed in the sideboarding experience. Because dragging cards up top isn't really representative of what you're doing when you're sideboarding. Magic Arena doesn't have bugs, chat. It is a quality release-ready piece of software. Falcon, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. There are no bugs, only happy features, right? Oh, this build's playing Faithless Looting. Interesting. Is it actually released or still in beta? No, we're at full release. Full release, chat. So we're gonna go Courtyard into Knight of the Ebon Legion on 1, and then we can go Shockland into Thoughtseize on 2, power up Knight of the Ebon Legion. Which is nice. If they kill this, I might go thing here. Man, can we talk about this Shockland tier against their Shock? Shock versus Shockland, chat. Shockland wins. Yeah, Adanto Vanguard can also let you pump this up, which is nice. This is a part where they drew Mizzix Mastery off the top and get us. Nope, no good. Huh? Do we just, like, jam with the Ebon Legion? I think we just jam with the Ebon Legion to get it out of Sweltering Sun's range, right? I think is the play. It means I don't get to flip this next turn, but they're probably going to kill some of my stuff anyways, so I think we just try and make this happen. Still dies to Magma Opus, worth noting. I'm gonna pump it again this turn. So that way it no longer dies to Magma Opus. I had that exact interaction on Twitter this morning, Pressapic. That exact exchange. I really hope that the opponent's deck... Maybe we should concede to pad the numbers. I feel like I should give the opponent's deck the match win, so that way we can skew Wizards' data a little bit more. Conceding to pad the numbers is like fetching to thin your deck. That's true. It's really small. Small and mostly meaningless. Alright, I mean, the snake's about to be really good here if they have it. Alright, so I do think we want Desparks on the board. So let's go ahead and do that. Honestly, these Blood Chiefs Thirst on the sideboard probably don't make a lot of sense. I think she should probably be a mix of Fatal Pushes and Flunks. I think Blood Chief's Thirst is the better main deck card, but I think if you want a 1-mana removal spell to the sideboard, the instant speed is usually better against the aggro decks. Whoa! People talking about Nintendo Direct, and I said I wasn't going to co-stream it today? Nintendo tweeted from their official account that co-streaming today's event is not allowed, which is different from years past. Wow, what a fucking bunch of boomers. What just colossal idiots. Yeah, for a long time, Nintendo was trash about stuff like that, but they've been better about it recently. What do I feel about the Jeskai deck? I think it was hilarious. Are we dunking on? Nintendo told people they're not allowed to co-stream the Nintendo Direct stream today. I wasn't planning to do it anyways, but now I'm glad I didn't intend to, because it's not an option. We kept double Thoughtseize against the burn deck. Feels magic, man. Look at that. Gain 1. Ooh. Flame of Keld with Luris Companion is kind of absurd. That's like, I haven't seen that. I've seen Luris burn before, but I've not seen this as innovation inside of it. That's really, really sweet. Really, really good interaction find by the opponent here. Alright, I'd like to trade with your 2-2. Alright, mulled to 5, drew 3, Thoughtseizes, lost to the burn deck. Funny how that works. Crokies was playing it the other day. Well, I already applied for an NFT of it, so very clearly it's now my idea. I will be bringing legal charges against anybody else that tries to play it, so I'd suggest not. Inquisition's probably fine to keep here for trying to break up their curve. It doesn't cost us life. Would I rather trim Adanto or Champion? Could go either way. Kiki card was awesome. It was fantastic. Coward split these two. Honestly, there might be too many Agdom's Awakenings in this deck. I'm interested. One thing I want to keep track of today is how often we cast this card. And how often it's just like a swamp that bolts us. I assume my lieutenant's gonna die and then they're gonna attack me. Ooh, that's really scary. I guess I only have one card in the bin. That puts the second card in, I guess. It does pump Night on occasion. One of Hoaglandia's resident large sea creatures made sure that Vampires was our deck today. If we draw untapped land next turn, Champion of Dusk puts pretty decent pressure on. Like they're spending their time controlling our board while we're hammering their life total. Okay, that's a decent draw too. We get to do this, then we get to do this plus this, and this gets bigger. I guess I get to Helix something plus Grim Lavamance or something, but that's still just like them interacting with our board instead of our face. And if they're not interacting with our face, Adanto has plenty of room. Interesting. Oh, we're just gonna kill 3 things then. Okay, opponent punted. They forgot that their Helix was going away. Definitely be the difference between winning and losing for them.
Welcome to the family.
It might have been right to Fatal Push this. I think I just let this happen. We've got enough pressure in play. The Helix went away because they had, it was from Light Up the Stage. Can I reasonably keep a hand without a 1-drop in this matchup? I feel like I can't at 7. Well... These don't play to the board, but they break up their curve, hopefully. That plays to the board. Okay. Again, we can keep up with the sand. Flame of Kelt Light Up the Stage is expressly not a combo. Do I just pass here and force this skewer to go to my face? Nah, they have Wizard's Lightning anyways. Opponents played strangely this game. I mean, outside of their kind of weak keep, I don't know what's been strange about their play. All their plays have seemed fine, and we're working with perfect information, so... Their hand wasn't a super strong keep, but they also mulliganed to 6. Like, it seems fine. They're playing a deck that's good for new players. I'd actually disagree with that. The best decks that are good for new players are probably the more powerful decks in the format. I don't think that their deck's like probably playable, but if you asked me to list like, I don't know, the top 10 decks in the format, I wouldn't be on that list. Something that's very elitist and shitty in not only Magic, but just kind of card games in general, is people like to make this assumption that aggro decks are easy to play. And aggro decks aren't strictly easy to play so much as they just put the decision points in a different spot than non-aggressive decks do. The decisions that matter are different. Also, when people talk about stuff like Jeskai control, I mean, the Helix was just a mistake. Like, it's very easy to miss something like that. So, like, the Helix play last game was something that they obviously missed that it was exiled with their thing. That was a mistake. It's fine to call that. But, like, this game, I haven't seen any decisions that have seemed bad. a lot of people who fancy themselves very big brain smart people like to think that their aggro decks are hard to play, or their control decks are hard to play. But the reality is, the control decks, when they're good, all your stuff just lines up into what your opponent is doing. So like, it's very easy to cast your Wrath of God on 4. It's very easy to use your Lightning Helix or Memory Lapse their first spell. I think I just do this and force the Wizard's Lightning next turn. That's true. I probably should just, like, remove the casting cost from my card. Nah, I think I like forcing the issue on the Wizard's Lightning. We'll get to hit them for 4 here, and then they'll Lightning this next turn. Which is fine. But Memory Lapse on 2 makes me feel smarter than Vanish of Heartman. So, dude, that's true. It probably does. Their companion could definitely be what wins them this set. That being said, that's a pretty decent draw. I mentioned I wanted to track when these were spells versus lands. This is definitely going to be a spell this game, huh? I think Flunk is probably the best piece of 2-mana black removal in the format. To reference the Paper Boomer days, the smartest player in the room is the one that kills you fast enough to eat lunch between rounds. Big mood. Big mood.
Defeating you will not bring me pleasure. Nor pain. I bestow a mighty curse.
Yeah, I think Sorin locks this game up. Again, someone was dumping on Sorin earlier. It's just really good utility in a lot of spots like this. This brings back our Silversmote Ghoul. I missed a point of damage. We'll be fine. We'll be okay. Big agree, would you be shocked to learn I never missed a lunch during a tournament? I am not surprised that 2-time Hoaglandia Open winner Todd Turkey with Girl Aggro both times always managed to get lunch while playing Paper. Yeah, that is not something that I find surprising. Chanaric, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this afternoon. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Great to see over 1,100 people in here. If you're new to the channel like Chanaric, welcome to Hoaglandia. We play Magic here 4 or 5 days a week. Usually we do some modern and some historic. Been enjoying both of those formats a reasonable amount. Most of the decks we play in both of those formats tend to be bruised like this, a little bit off the beaten path. So if you're looking for a nice range of Magic content to get ideas from, this is a great place to hang out. Also got a YouTube channel where all of the decks that I play each day that had reasonable sets or did something interesting or worth watching get cut up deck by deck and uploaded there. I have never played the Mass Effect games. Oh, I messed up. This is a small thing. I was talking and clicking, but I messed up my sequencing here, right? If I would have played a white card on 1, I could have played a white card plus knight on 2 here. And now I can't play double spell on 2, so messed up my sequencing here. Mass Effect is on my list of things to play at some point when it goes on sale. I intend to add it to my backlog. Aggro's gonna get run down, Chip. Online Magic and paper Magic offer different experiences, and which one is better is definitely dictated by what you are looking to get out of the Magic that you are playing. If you are looking to engage with Magic as a potential social experience, you can't beat paper. Digital just does not emulate that at all. If you are looking to just play as much Magic as you can, as fast as you can, digital is far superior to paper. All right, no combo. One, two, three, four, five. I have 8 permanents right now. I could... I think we just attack with these and see what they do. It's a combo in the opponent's deck. They will transmogrify out an Elish Nord or a Creator of Behemoth. Creator has been in the format for a while. It was a Jumpstart edition. All right, so they're working their way to Elish Nord, and they were real close to her there, chat. we were in danger.
If you threaten Innistrad, I will take it personally. Our fiends thirst for them.
Maybe I'm supposed to put the counter on here so this survives an Elish Nord. Game's pretty done at this point. They need to peel this turn, I think. Next turn, I get to get both of these out of Elish range. I don't think they come back from there.
This is but a taste of power.
But a taste of my power. Oh. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so it might not look like it based on how the opponent drew there, but Fatal Push is actually okay in this matchup because Fatal Push kills their token in response to a Transmogrify. We've got these Adanto Vanguards because they get stonewalled. I'll bring in Despark and Vanishing Verse, because keeping Elishnorn off the table seems very important. This can take their bigger plays. I'm going to trim the Inquisitions and bring in a couple of Reidanes as things that fly over the top while also blocking. I would encourage you to read Skyclave Apparition if you think it was Elishnorn Insurance. Is Vampires a real deck again? Yeah, I think this deck's always been reasonable. we've had a pretty good set so far with this one. I think I'm gonna throw it up on the website. So it's one of those decks that's just like, there's so many things around the fringes of this format. Like, just don't get enough attention because there's only so much time in the day. We Thoughtseize on one after they mulligan low. I could be wrong, because the Raise the Alarm flips the Legion's Landing. Yeah, that's also true. The Magic Arena economy makes the format less diverse than it otherwise would be, because there's a real risk to crafting something off meta, because unlike in paper Magic, the off meta decks are the same price or more in a lot of cases than the meta decks cost. It's a real disservice to the variety and interesting deck building and gameplay that Magic offers, that the arena economy is what it is. And honestly, it's a testament to how healthy Historic is as a format, I think, that, like, it has the variety that it does. Because it's definitely true that some of the diversity that we have in paper Magic is due to kind of artificial limitations around. Are they going to triple block one of my lieutenants here? I think I'm still supposed to do this, but this makes Elishnorn a better draw for them. I want to Champion of Dusk this turn. Start here. Yep. Thanks again to Xanatheus for the bits to play this one today and to make the decision of what we were going to play for our second deck easy. This is a good one. Message my graphics guy. Kenny Wings, are you in chat? Kenny, my graphics guy sometimes hangs out in the stream during the day. Kenny, if you're here, I'll take a banner for the Vampires deck. And if you're not, I'll message you tonight. Actually, I might need to check. I might have a Vampires banner already. Yes, we're going to play the Teamer Adventure Storm deck as our second deck today. The person that donated for that one asked that it be the third deck of the stream. When you donate to have a deck played, you can kind of dictate. If we're not at a set release when things are crazy, you can pick what day and approximately when in the stream things happen. And obviously, if you can't catch it live, they all end up on YouTube for the most part, unless they're real bad. But I try to accommodate. Man, do I even show them what I'm doing? Can I win this game from here? I think I should concede, right? And just not show them more cards. We know what they're doing. Our hand can't win this game. Kiki Cord was awesome. Just like incredible matches of Magic all around. Continues to be a total treat. We'll be playing more Modern and more Kiki Cord next week. Someone earlier, we 4-1'd, but the one loss was a match that we were 100% to win if I had 2 more minutes on my clock. Opponent was very far behind, and it was just this really long, crazy, grindy 3-game set. I spent a little bit too much time talking to chat. Opponent also had like less than 90 seconds, but I could have played faster. Yeah, Moto is also leaking memory and lagging hard. Which didn't help. It might be greedy. It might be right to keep the land. So I could go white, black off of that. That black-white Vamp spend. Excellent. I think this deck checks all the boxes you want to check in this format. It's proactive. It's proactive and has a reasonable amount of disruption. If you didn't see Discord, Matt said Kiki Cord was great, so hell has risen over. Man, Kiki Cord's gonna trick me into playing Paper Magic again, chat. I can already feel it. If I can find someone to mail me a Kiki Cord deck to play, we're gonna have to show up to a tournament. Maybe I'll be really unlucky and nobody will want to lend me a Kiki Cord deck. And then my decision will be made for me and it'll be easy. I don't intend to enjoy Kiki Cord enough to spend $1,500 on it. But if I could find someone to mail me $1,500 worth of cards for a weekend, I would show up and play. Cool Stuff Inc. would send you the cards. Nah, sponsors usually don't work that way. Usually, as someone who was like a sponsored Magic player for a long time, usually sponsors don't provide you with cards to play with. If you have a Kiki Cord deck and you want to send to me at some point, though, to play, I have Birds of Paradise, so I don't need those for. I can provide my own Birds of Paradise, chat. It's not a lot, but it's what I can do. I do have 1 Resto, 1 Kiki, and 1 Court of Calling, too, I suppose. You must have basics. Oh, I do. I have good looking basics here. I keep talking about selling these things at some point. I should probably just buy list them. This is like 100 or 200 bucks in like basic land sitting here on my monitor that I'm like never gonna play with again. Should probably turn those into part of a mortgage payment at some point. Clothes. All right, so we're just completely hosed, huh? How much for those lands signed? I don't know what the market price is on them, so I can't answer that question offhand. I fully get out of Paper Magic. I mean, I was never really fully in Paper Magic. I guess I owned a Legacy. I mean, chat, do people own Paper Magic cards? Listen, chat, when you're a tournament grinder, you don't own Magic cards, okay? I was a tournament grinder. I owned Kiki Cord, which I eventually sold out of. But like when I was playing Standard and stuff competitively, it was like, you were like the night before the tournament, you were like on Twitter and like sending Facebook messages and Discord messages trying to figure out who was gonna hand you cards the next day. Sweats profusely in Commander. Yeah, God, shout outs to all the Commander players, chat. I can't tell you how many decks I played that had cards out of Commander decks handed to me for a weekend. Commander players are good people. They got the hookup. But yeah, I kept like the Birds of Paradise I have that have altered borders, but like that's about it. Nothing too crazy. When there's resale value on stuff like that, I didn't see myself playing them for the foreseeable future. And I've talked about this before, like you probably saw when my camera went big. I've got this big board game shelf behind me. When I play casual games, I play board games. And then like it's so difficult to get back in, right? You know, like I decide I enjoy Modern and I want to get back in. I spent $1,500 to buy Kiki Cord. Like that's a mortgage payment. $1,500 bucks. That's about a mortgage payment, right? Like my mortgage is a little bit more than that in a month. I have to check. Christy takes care of that kind of stuff for us. We playing a Vampire Mirror match? We are. I'm gonna take Legion's End here. This is the card they can cast next turn. For those of you that live in expensive places, the corn just started popping up in the field behind my house, and I cannot recommend living in the cornfields enough. My over 3,000 square foot home, we closed on it for under $300,000. Space is cheap. Do you get fresh popcorn? So they have a we have a sweet corn festival every fall here. Which if you live in the central Illinois area, the sweet corn festival is not to be missed, chat. It's a treat. Chat, for the record, there's nothing wrong with owning paper Magic cards. If you enjoy owning paper Magic cards and playing paper Magic, more power to you. It's just, for me personally, I didn't get more joy out of playing paper Magic than I got out of playing board games and stuff. So it didn't make sense for me to keep a $2,000 legacy deck and a $1,500 modern deck when I could do a similar thing with $200 worth of board games. Because I can't even play Magic with just a $1,500 modern deck, right? I need someone else to also have a $1,500 modern deck. The $2,000 legacy deck tells you how long ago it was that I owned a legacy deck. Boom, boom, boom. Boomaroo. Yeah, I never owned blue dual lands. I owned 4-color Loam and Death and Taxes at various points. I never owned Volks or Trops or Underground Seas or anything like that. They don't want Modern to be cheaper. Something I've always found funny is Magic players complain about the reserved list and how, like, the reserved list makes Legacy expensive. It's like, it does, but it also doesn't, right? Like, there's a reason why Modern is such an expensive format, even though they can reprint all the cards there, right? Because Wizards thinks it's more profitable for their formats to be expensive. Yeah, I would totally take Merfolk as a modern deck. And our tip got a ton of good upgrades. Correct. That's exactly what Avocado said. They don't want modern to die. They like that it exists, but they also don't want it to be cheaper. Both of those things are definitely true. You can't hustle $9 boosters for a cheap format. I don't know what you're talking about. The secondary market doesn't exist. Booster packs are not gambling. Daddy Watsy, I'm selling your line. Please love me. All right, I think we start by attacking with everything. Minus 500, chat. How can that be minus 500? That's the Wizards of the Coastline. Yeah, I didn't plus Sorin here because I want to throw a vampire at this 1/4. Humans are worse merfolk now. Yeah, I'd believe that. The merfolk got some really solid new cards in Modern Horizons 2. Is Drana not good enough for this format? Not really. She's largely worse than the other 3-mana cards you can play, is what it comes down to. Yeah, our opponent's actually playing Drana. She was a Jumpstart card linked in. Alright, so again, against decks that play to the board, we want discard spells out and removal spells in. Super clean. 2 push, 2 verse, Skyclave, a flunk. Humans have always been worse merfolk. They can't breathe underwater. Big mood. Big mood. I think I'm going to board in the extra Silversmote Ghoul in the aggro mirrors. That way we can grind with Sorin. I'm going to trim Adanto Vanguard. Yeah, I love 3-mana Sorin too. Super flexible. Powerful synergy with everything else our deck is doing. It's decent. Opponent knew our hand was busted, chat. Opponent knew our hand was busted. What do you think about more planeswalkers like Sorin 3? I think we've seen things like that basically. Boombox. I think a lot of the planeswalker designs that we've seen are super reasonable recently. Most of the planeswalker designs that aren't just like the 5-mana plus card advantage minus removal alt win the game are ideal. No, thank you, Talrand. I disagree with Royal Scions. Like, they're like a decent card in the right situation, but they don't really have a lot of nuance or interesting things to them. Like things like I think like Sorin's a much more interesting design, right? You kind of build your deck around it. Yeah, three mana Chandra is a sweet one. Yeah, like obviously there's some misses. Like Oko was too good. 3 mana Teferi could like pound rocks or pound sand or whatever you want to call it. The new Kasmina is like amazing though. Love her design. We Thoughtseize on one, and then probably Adanto on two, depending on what they're doing. This bullshit. So just like take the Gear Hulk and then play this and hope to kill them with it. I'd really like to draw a white source next turn so we can Legion's Landing plus Lieutenant. So I'm going to lead on landing, and then if they don't counterspell this, I'm going to pass the turn. If they did memory lapse this, we'd Thoughtseize them. Excited for them to draw their second Gear Hulk and dumpster us. Man, what's our opponent doing down here at 96% playing Jeskai control? Get out of here. This is supposed to be my meme stomping ground. Aaron Black, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this afternoon. That's true. They could be a person getting the Mythic late. Alright, really want to draw any untapped land next turn so we can Thoughtseize plus, actually, if we draw an untapped land, we probably just Sorin, right? Man, never lucky. I think I do need to kill the Narset here, because we do draw cards with both Silversmote and, what's it called? Whatever that other card is. The 5-drop. Not that we're anywhere near that. So with their treasure, they can Helix and Memory Lapse this turn. For fuck's sake. Come on, land. Come on, land. Nailed it. Sorin. This one. Vanguard getting bigger and giving life to itself is so good in this matchup, chat. It's so good. Someone asked earlier, where is this deck better than Mono Black? And this card is really good in these control matchups. It's super strong. They could have Dubs Helix for the Sorin here. But even that's not terrible for us. We get to Thoughtseize plus Lieutenant plus crack them to whatever next turn. Hero of Dominaria. Yep.
Trust me.
He's dead on board, right? Well, the person's not dead on board. Wait, let's start with Thoughtseize and see what they do. Because this forces them to Helix. Because if they memory lapse this, they're dead on board. And when they Helix this in response, we Sorin plus on here and kill the Teferi. Good night. And again, just like the lifelink, letting this pay for itself is just so huge here. I always like when it works out, we can like answer questions very directly that people had about the deck. They're like, okay, why are we not playing Mono Black Vanguard? Is Sorin good? Yes, this is why. Case in point. So they have to activate Castle and chump block my Vanguard here. Which means they don't have mana for Memory Lapse up. Which means I get to stick Silversmote Ghoul and then get my free Lightning Helixes going. I wouldn't say that beating Jeskai control is satisfying, but like absolutely dumpstering Jeskai control feels real good, yeah. This isn't just beating Jeskai control. We're like putting him in the trash can here pretty solidly. You're back from Nintendo, it was not great. Really? They didn't have like some big special announcement considering they didn't let us co-stream? Find anything good in the trash can, opponent? They did have Breath of the Wild too, sure. Are my weapons gonna break, making the game largely unplayable for reasonable people? Do we know if the item system will be playable for normal human beings? Footage in 2022. Oh, it wasn't even gameplay. Yikes. Yikes. All right, so Despark to tag Tefries and Sharks, Reidane to make their stuff a little bit more expensive, Silversmote Ghoul to grind with Sorin. 3 cuts here, probably just Legion's Lieutenant. It's not great against their sweepers. Honestly, I wonder if I cut the last one and bring in Kaya, she could win the game. And they are also a Gear Hulk build. So like this deals with the Gear Hulk, which is nice. The mix of the items in Breath of the Wild breaking and the lack of full voice acting ruining my immersion means that Breath of the Wild is one of the only single player role-playing games I picked up in the last 2 years that I didn't finish. Just had too much working against it with those design decisions. I love that style of game and just could not get through that one. So, and I've talked about this before, but to sum it up in a concise way, the appeal of an open world game, in my opinion, is that it, generally speaking, should let the player play the game in the way they want to play the game. And the weapon durability in Breath of the Wild was basically the developers saying, you have to play the game in this way, the way these weapons break and rotate through them. And that was the problem from a game design perspective, is the experience that I go into that style of game wanting to have is, if you watch me play any of my variety segments, you'll basically see me pick 1 or 2 weapons or spells or whatever you fight with, and I'll only use those weapons for the rest of the game. Like, we're playing Control right now. I've used Shatter and Pierce as my guns for the entirety of the playthrough. And that's all I want to do. I want to find two weapons or 2 or 3 weapon or fighting styles that I like, and I want to get as good as I can get at them, because I'm a boomer and I struggle to be good at things like that consistently. So, like, I want to put effort into the one that I can be good at. Yeah, force variety is just as bad as force linearity. Is exactly correct. All right, so they have this stupid memory lapse that I can't Thoughtseize into now. If this or this is an untapped land, we're going to get royally bent over by this Magma Opus, huh? I don't have any plays, though, right? I think we start by attacking. I'm telling you, sure, no game design is going to appeal to everyone, but here's the thing, IRS spiel. Do you think they attracted people specifically because your weapons broke and you couldn't repair them? Or do you think they lost more people because of that game design decision? Which of those two things do you think is more likely to have happened? Because shouldn't we lead on the other 1-drops? No, because if they hit the land for this Gear Hulk, they get to kill my whole board, chat. Whereas now, they only kill this, and then I despark the Gear Hulk, and then they have a 4/4 that I have to figure out how to deal with. So I think if my opponent is playing well, there's no reason to lead on those. So, but here's the thing too. Would your enjoyment of the weapon system have been lessened if they let people repair it? Like, let's say the game is identical to what they shipped, only in every town there's someone that can repair the weapons you like. Only difference. It's identically the same. You can have the exact same experience that it already offered, but there's also a way to repair weapons. And I think, in my opinion, the people that answer, yes, my experience would have been worse, you're kind of an asshole. Because you're saying that you're saying that other people being able to enjoy the game in the way that they enjoy it would diminish you in your single player game. No, yeah, and for people that haven't played Breath of the Wild, your weapons literally just break and you can't fix them. Like, it's fine to enjoy the system as it is, but to say the system as it is couldn't exist while also appealing to other people is very silly. Yeah, like you find this, and it creates that scarcity for you, right? Like, you find this really sweet weapon, and you're like, oh man, I don't want to use this sweet weapon, because if I use the sweet weapon, it's gonna break. It's the hoarder problem, right? Where, like, you get your potions and you never want to use your potions because what if you need the potion later, and then, like, you beat the last boss of the game and you're like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do with these 300 potions I thought I might need later? It creates this really weird balanced stress in it, right? Where you have this anxiety as part of your game where, like, you don't want to use the resource because you might need it later, and then you end up never using it and feeling bad about never using it. And for people that are new to the channel, I am a dirty, filthy casual. I play games for fun. And games that make me feel stressed out about the resource systems are blah. It's like we're playing Control right now as my variety segment in the afternoons, and that game has an in-Vorthos reason for your weapon ammunition to regenerate itself, which is just A+ chef's kiss, not having to min-max and fucking loot goblin every box and thing that you come across is just, like, really well done. Sure, but I'm saying, Andrew, you can have the current system, like 100% identical, and also have an extra thing. So they hit my Sorin, so I actually can't put this into play. You have no idea how happy it makes me to have someone articulate the argument I've made every time someone asks about Breath of the Wild. Yep. Seal away, Sedge. You don't think that's true? I think it's 100% true. I think they definitely could have just had the exact system they had. So what you're saying is you're psychologically, you wouldn't have allowed yourself to play the game in the miserable way they dictated to you it needed to be played. You're saying that had the better experience been offered, you would have had to default go with the better experience because that just makes sense. If they offered weapon repairing, I would have repaired my weapon. Of course you would have, because that's how games should work. Yeah, exactly that. People can always make their games harder if they want to, like Nuzlocke and Pokemon. Yeah, exactly that. That's such a great comparison. The Nuzlocke comparison is perfect. Love it. That's unfortunately a tapped land, so we can't cast this next turn. Yeah, it's impressive how in this game we are for the fact that they hit their Magma Opus Gearhulk on 5.
You know what? I'm not done.
There are definitely subsets of people who enjoy consumable resources. You are likely in the minority of gamers, though. And that's okay. All right, we'll be on the play for game 3, huh? All right, we're going to move off of this topic for now. As someone who spent a lot of time with gamers, nobody's hearts or minds are about to be changed. This is the internet, chat. People don't change their opinions when presented with differing ones. Let's try and beat this Gandalf player down while we're on the play, huh? Can I get a turn to Adanto Vanguard, please? Turn 1 Ebon Legion, turn 2 Adanto Vanguard. Let's go. Let's go. You. Alright, that'll do, pig. Ain't good, but it'll do in a pinch. I think I'm bottoming Reidane here. Just like Knight on 1 in the double discard spell. Remember when I mentioned we were one of those casuals that plays Magic for fun? Fuck Jeskai Control. Onwards, upwards, backwards, forwards. Taking my ball and I'm going home. Listen, chat, when you make it always makes me chuckle when I see some salty little gremlin on Reddit and they talk about how, yeah, and I made the Jeskai Control player play it out. They emblemed their Teferi and it took them 20 minutes to exile my board. It's like, listen, you salty little monster. The Jeskai Control player, you didn't make them play it out. You let them play it out and experience the joy that their deck set out to provide to them. Every time a Jeskai Control player gets to exile one of your permanents with Teferi's emblem, it gives them life, chat. It sustains them. They register Jeskai Control because they thrive on the sodium they can feel pouring out of your screen as you make them play it out. If they wanted to win quickly, they'd play something else. The biggest dagger you could do to a control opponent is concede as soon as you hit garbage time. I want to say thank you. I watched mostly from YouTube, but I really enjoyed Smothering Storm. Hey, Blythe, thanks for the support. Yeah, Smothering Storm yesterday was awesome. Talk about sweet Jeskai decks. Smothering Storm had no right to be as good as it was yesterday. Just peek me magic. Don't stop me. Don't stop me. Stop it. No Eldraine. Bad. Bad opponent. Don't Eldraine. Opponent. Yes. Sick. Second HN. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. B. Aggressive. B. E. I mean, the rest of their hand must be good if they didn't have any follow-up, right? Like they kept for a reason. Opponent, is your deck working? Is Sorin down tick into Lieutenant correct? Nah. I don't want him low on loyalty. My lord? Oh, I wonder what their draw for the turn was. I just like do this and smash them, right? I'll have 2 2/2s left over afterwards, and I'll be at 8. I don't know if that's good enough. I think I like Skyclave Spellbreaker attack for 3. So I think I'm okay trading this for a 2/2. And this also sets me up here so I can Legion's Lieutenant into flip landing, play Sorin next turn. Or if I draw land, I can do both of these pre-combat. Curve purposes works out a little bit cleaner too. Sweet. Yeah, it worked out really well for us. No second green, so no questing beast. Oh, man. No plays. How unfortunate, opponent. It's unlucky. I'm gonna attack for 12, chat. The Legion has landed. Please concede. Alright, well, he can only kill 2 of our things. Cast Lightning Helix. Goodbye, friend. Ooh, yeah, that's true. They could have blocked the 3/2 to the other Lord. Good catch. Good catch. Three cuts. I think I like leaving Inquisition in this matchup. Cut the Adantos on the drop. Really put one Reidane in. A Grawl opponent isn't used to having to block and didn't know what to do. Accurate. Called Grawl Smash, not Grawl Block, chat. Come on, get with the program. All right, it's gonna be our last match with some black-white vampires, and then we're gonna play some Temur Adventure Dragonstorm. This is our second historic deck today. The 6 spell hands always look good, chat. Don't keep them. LJ, thanks for the follow. Temur Adventure Dragonstorm featuring Sky Noodle as a companion, because obviously you need to play 80 cards to fit all of the Adventure and Dragonstorm cards in. It's a viewer submission. It's very sweet. Hopefully, if it's half as good as it looks, it'll be a great set. Another Naked Burning Tree Emissary. I think it's a Sorin, Champion, draw 2. Draw 1, but they didn't add to the board this turn. I feel like them not having a play this turn is a huge W for us.
Blood is my gift, and it will be. I'll join my crusade.
Cast the world's largest elvish visionary. Vision is scary. Start a revolution. Pollute in the airwaves. Champion of Dusk. We've played this one on stream once before, and it was good then too. In fact, it's been so reasonable today, it's going to get added to the website. This deck ticks a lot of the boxes you want to tick. In historic. Proactive, a little disruptive. Why do your girl opponents never have just one BTE and nothing else? Because your lizard brain is incapable of remembering times when they didn't have it. Man, the kids today don't even know who Eminem is, do they? Eminem has kids as old as kids these days. Don't tell me how old his children are. Don't hurt me like that, chat. Birdie, I've been injured enough. I don't need to know. One of them just graduated college. Oh no, I told you not to tell me. Why would you hurt me? Why would you hurt me in this way? It should have been a ban. Oh, chat. Oh, no. Oh, it's like a train wreck. You can't help but not look away. Oh, are we thinking it through? Maybe? This is definitely a concession verse if they triple block. Like, not close concession verse. All right, they found the line. They found the line. Fail, thanks for the prime. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate the support. Haley as a name for my daughter is a double throwback to trash music that I like, because not only is Eminem's daughter named Haley and referenced in his song, but the lead singer of Paramore is Haley Williams. So it's a twofer for my trash, you know, early 2000s, late 90s music. Paramore was more early to mid 2000s. Okay, Boomer. $24.68. Thanks for 11 months. Welcome back. I think this is fine. Just let these die. What's the age range of viewers here? My audience is about 40% between 25 and 34, and then about 17% a step under that and a step over that. So like 18 to like 45 covers most of my audience. I'm sure there's some that are outside of that range, but a majority fall in there. The old castle tapped on turn 5, chat. Chat, you have to understand that language evolves, and boomer is now simply an adjective to reference people who are acting old. It's not just a generational description. The boomers boomed so hard they became an adjective. Yeah, it's like when you tell someone to Google something, right? I don't know, Google it. It means look it up. Alright, can my 5/5 hold down the fort till we draw spells? That's the real question. I believe Queen of England, from a generational perspective, is before boomers. I don't know exactly what their range is at this point, but it's not quite that old. It's our best draw, like another Champion of Dusk? Wow, this attack is aggro. I guess they want to put things in the bin for scavenging is. My opponent's drawn a lot of collected companies, which is not helping the fact that we've flooded, right? Like, they've found all their card advantage, and we've not found much of ours. Well, because they didn't know, they just misstepped. They didn't know they were going to get a Scavenging Ooze when they cast Company. This attack is super weird. I'm not beating a Stomp, so, like, go ahead. Sure. Weird that they didn't attack with that. It doesn't matter, because, like, we're dead, but... Like, they don't have anything in play that threatens to be able to make the Pelt Collector larger. Oh, you know what? Maybe because they're a Pelt Collector deck, my Kaya is supposed to be in my deck. She fights their Scavenging Oozes a little bit too, which is nice, and she can exile things like Pelt Collector. And also gains life in a pinch. Oh. All right, I think I'm going to make a liar out of myself. The person that sent in the Teamer deck has asked me to play it on a different day because I'm pretty sure when they asked me for a starting time, that they were referring to Eastern time, and I do all of my timing in Central. I think we had a little bit of a miscommunication there. I told them it would start about noon. Between 11 and noon. It's about noon now. I'll blame Kiki Core. They might have had the timing right too, and Kiki Core just ran long this morning, but we'll see. At either rate, we're gonna push that one. Wolf Biter, thanks for the 12 months. Welcome back. So we will be playing the Dragonstorm deck at some point, just not next. I'm supposed to mulligan this because there's a bolt land on the play. I don't think you can just sub a Tarka's command into the current deck list on my site because the deck list, well, I guess I'm not recommending Collected Company, so maybe it's fine. I don't know. I think the Tarka's commands builds are just different. So I don't think it's an easy... Yeah, we're just fucked, right? This is just like the girl hand that kills you. You just can't do anything. They have like double Burning Tree Emissary, and they have Land War Elves, so like even if I take this, they get to play this after the Burning Tree Emissaries. But yeah, to TLDR, the deck lists on my website are kept up to date. My current recommended deck list is the one on my site. So no, I wouldn't recommend making changes, because if I'd recommend making changes, I would play something else. No, they literally have 1, Burning Tree Emissary makes red mana, 2, they literally have a desert in their hand. Man, this Inquisition card sucks, chat. That's twice in a row we've cast Inquisition on turn 2, and then the optimal play was Concede. Why do people play this card? It seems really bad. The TLDR is that Jeskai Control feels bad to play against. I think Gruul is bad against Jeskai Control regardless of how you build it, because their Wrath of Gods and their Lightning Helixes and the consistency Brainstorm and Expressive Iteration give them to find those cards consistently every game mean you just can't keep up. So if you want to have a good Jeskai Control matchup, I would recommend playing not Gruul. Gruul has consistently had a god-awful win rate since these Jeskai decks became popular. There's a reason why it has fallen off. It is not good and not amazing in the current format. I don't even know if that's fair to say. Like, you know, we play a ton of Magic here, and you look at how much Jeskai Control we play against, it's actually not that much. But, like, I don't think you can play Jeskai Control with the idea of, hey, I want this to be good into Jeskai Control, because it's just not possible. Like, I don't think it's wrong to play Gruul. I'm just saying expecting to change that deck to make it better against Jeskai is just not feasible. Is the point of my rambling here. So the Atarka's builds I think are also fine. I like them less than the build I have on my site, but I don't think either of them are good into Jeskai. If they find a land here, this is probably going to be a runaway. Okay, land for us. A little unlucky on both sides. Their deck full of cantrips obviously plays better on fewer lands than our deck that's trying to go up to 3 and 5. If we find a white source, the Skyclave can drag us back into the game a little bit, assuming they don't put a Phoenix down here, which they could. They put a Phoenix into play here, we're going to take 8. This is a matchup where the discard spells come out. More cards that play to the board. How many Vanishing Verse I want? They're good against Phoenix, but they're bad against most of the other stuff. Despark at least tags Crackling Drake as well. Their deck's just so redundant. Occasionally you could tag a threat with this, but outside of taking Sprite Dragon, it tends to be pretty mediocre. And trim these, they tend to be pretty interactive and slow us down. I guess Rest in Peace is fine. It's fine against the Phoenix part of their deck. Honestly, 3 Rest in Peace might be too many in this sideboard at this point. I don't love it in this matchup. Basically, all of the best decks in Historic are Brainstorm decks, yes. I mean, or the answer is play Brainstorm, right? Part of the reason why the Jeskai decks and Phoenix decks are so much better than everything else is because they don't flood and screw nearly as often. Because they're just more consistent than everything else in Magic. Because they get to play these really hyper-efficient cantrips. Magma Opus Jeskai decks don't play Brainstorm or Iteration. Man, I'm just gonna time out that really wrong take. Citation needed, yeah. It's accurate to say they don't all play 4 Expressive Iteration, but they pretty much all play 4 Brainstorms. And obviously people like Therapy here in chat are allowed to play Magic via the Mercy rule and make their deck 4 cards worse by not playing Brainstorm. But I would recommend going to look at what the good players that played the championship recently played. I believe Manfield, who registered only 3 Brainstorms, commented that they made the mistake. They made the mistake of not playing 4. If you wanted the championship, can you provide a link to that? It was a misclick at registration. That's hilarious. I didn't see that, but if it's true, it's hilarious. Adanto Vanguard is going the distance. It's going for speed. Is Brainstorm banned in Modern? It's not in any Modern legal sets. It would be banned in Modern if it was in a Modern legal set, though. Man, when this Phoenix deck doesn't do anything, it really doesn't do anything. Honestly, there's merit to getting rid of both Blue Mage Jack It could also just be memory lapse is actually the issue. I don't know. There's like 600 different knobs they could twist. Expressive Iteration being a sorcery speed, basically 3-drop, makes it so much worse. It makes it so much worse. Iteration is like a really powerful draw 2, but it is just a draw 2 at its core. On the draw, let's draw a 3rd land. Good thing I misclicked and only registered 3 copies of Brainstorm. That's great. I think all the replace lapse with Remand talk is very silly, because that's not something that they'd give any indication that they'd do. There is a good chance that Memory Lapse is the most feels bad counterspell that's ever been printed, yeah? I mean, I don't know that I'd call Counterspell sweet. I'd say it feels slightly less bad to play against than... What's it called? But, like, that's like a super low bar. To control Brainstorm and Historic, let's print Mental Misstep. Man, that's a next level. That's the Reddit take right there. So, I actually think Red Elemental Blast would be a fine card to put into this format. Mental Misstep is some nonsense, but I actually think Reb would be a fine card. Giving various red decks a 1-mana way to destroy Teferi that like also sees play would be sick.
Return.
All right, so what are we doing here? I think it's shock this in, Despark the bird, play Adanto attack. There was a Jeskai Opus list that went 7-0 that wasn't playing Brainstorm. Neat. Now what's the average case scenario? If you look at all the Opus lists from that tournament, how many weren't playing Brainstorm? So you found your anecdote. What's the average? Did the average person at that tournament conclude that Brainstorm was wrong to play? Or did the average person decide, yeah, they wanted to play the busted cantrip? Thanks for the follow, Stealth Hobo. And Ag Hawk, I appreciate that. I think I'm in a spot that we can pay for this. I only looked at that one and I've not looked at the rest. That sounds like the internet. Sure, like, I mean, the Jeskai control deck is good enough that, like, you can cut 4 Brainstorms and still be, like, have a reasonable deck. That's actually part of the reason why it should be banned. The deck is good enough that you can just, like, cut the best card and still have, like, the super decent reasonable deck left over. Yes, that was... I'll never forget, we talked about that one a lot too. In the last tournament it was legal for, there were people that chose not to register 4 copies of... Once Upon a Time. And it's just like, what were you people making decisions using? What was the process? They did take the same game actions 2 turns around. Hopefully, after Anger Pillar, our Silversmote Ghouls are going to get to live here for a while. That does not get Fatal Pushed and could kill us next turn. It's kind of scary. They only paid 2. Why can't we push that? Asking the real questions. So it's 25 months, beefcakes. Now, the good news is I have Fatal Push to interact with any haste threats this turn. Even if they do something like Floop a Phoenix into play, I can sack a Silversmote Ghoul to trigger Revolt. They're just seeing so many cards, chat. There's just so many more cards than all of our decks can see. According to Goldfish, the archetype, 66% of Opus decks play Brainstorm and average 3.9 copies. Sure, yep. The most play it. There's a bird. I mean, honestly, we're lucky they only found 1 Phoenix, right? Oh, I guess we already got rid of 1 earlier. %1 of the decks see 99% of the cards ban cantrips. Big mood. I could draw a Despark here, or an exile target monocolored thing. Am I... No, I think we just take the hit, right? Because I can't sack this and cast it now. Sorin, one-time dealer. Sorin, one-time dealer. So close. So close. Yeah. So that was again it's kind of great that that game just happened while we were discussing Brainstorm and Expressive Iteration. Just such a testament to the power of those cards, how decks like what the opponents are playing are able to, 1, consistently find everything they need at the exact opportune moments with their powerful selection, and then 2, also utilize them to power up their various prowess threats. Yeah, overall, I think this deck is fine. I don't think this deck is any worse than stuff like Black Aggro that people play in the format. I do think decks like this in the current format are a cut below the Steam Vents decks. We had some outs there at the end of those games, but we didn't hit them. But our deck just has less consistency than these blue decks full of cantrips, so you're just not going to hit your outs nearly as often with them. And it feels a little bit bad, but you are putting yourself at a disadvantage in Historic right now if you are not playing one of the Steam Vents decks. That's just the cold hard truth is that, and I hope Wizards wakes up and smells the brainstorm and figures it out sooner rather than later. I don't plan to stop playing Historic, but it's definitely sad to do this wrap ups every day where it's just well, this deck is fine, but it's a cut below the busted things. It's a cut below the things that are just more consistent than you. All right. At any rate, I think because this deck ran a little bit long and Kiki Cord ran a little bit long, I think I'm actually just be done with Magic for the day, since the person on the third deck the third deck wanted me to push it. I did an extra one with this because the person in the third deck wanted me to push it. So, well, we'll save the Storm deck for